Channel 2, KPRC TV. Now, Channel 2 News Nightcast with Ron Stone, Jan Carson, Doug Johnson, Craig Roberts, and the Channel 2 News team.
Hello, everybody. The political pot is boiling. Tonight, a major police officers union endorsed former Mayor Fred Hoffines in the mayor's race. It's a measure of how much they dislike Kathy Whitmire. This union is endorsing a man they used to hate. Bill Pounders has the story.
A standing ovation for former Mayor Fred Hoffines. He is running for mayor, and these police officers are a friendly audience. Many of them are upset with Mayor Whitmire for what they call lack of support and lack of raises, despite the recent 3% raise.
What I'm asking the voters to do is to give somebody else a chance to see whether or not we can find money available from additional sources, new sources.
How times have changed. When Hoffines was mayor during the 1970s, many police officers were criticizing him. They said he'd hired too many minorities, a corrupt police chief, and lowered employment standards. Tonight, the president of the Police Officers Association says the former mayor's past is water under the bridge. Apparently, the current mayor's past is not.
Endorse Kathy Whitmire for what?
Over
I think that's about as remote a chance as could happen. I think she's pretty well demonstrated her lack of commitment to protecting the citizens of this city.
It's my belief that he's supportive of law enforcement and his stand on the issues I believe in.
Hoffines didn't ask the association to speak here. They asked him. He didn't necessarily promise officers more money. He did promise to listen to them. And for these officers, that's convincing enough. Bill Pounders, Channel 2 News Nightcast.
Whitmire has not formally announced that she will run again, but it seems to be a foregone conclusion. She had no comments on tonight's endorsement. Charges of failure to stop are expected to be filed against a Houston man before the night is over. That man is being questioned in connection to the bus accident that happened this afternoon. According to witnesses, a car ran a red light and collided with a Fort Bend County school bus. 40 students from Terry High School were aboard. 5 were taken to hospitals along with a bus driver for minor injuries. The men in the car apparently tried to run away from the accident, but were chased down and caught by 4 students.
Once I got off the bus, I tried to see if they were all right and talk to them, and they just started walking away from me, and they walked quicker and quicker until they just ran off down the street. Another school bus was up the road about 100, 200 yards, and some of the boys got off of that bus and ran out and caught them.
Driver of the car had no license, no proof of insurance. All those injured students are said to be in good shape tonight. An explosion and fire rocked an elementary school on the northwest side this morning. 2 men were hurt, and 1 wound up in the hospital. A butane tank used to heat roofing tar blew up, breaking windows in 3 classrooms and collapsing part of the roof. Good news is not 1 child was hurt. The school says all that is due in part, at least, to fire drills last week. More than 800 students and teachers got out of that building in 2 minutes flat. Immigration officers netted 5 dozen undocumented aliens in southwest Houston in a roundup this morning. Officials say it's the biggest Houston roundup of illegals in several years. It came in response to residents' complaints last week about crime problems in the Gulfton area. INS says most of the illegals were picked up from a vacant lot at Dashwood and Rampart. Contractors visit that spot every day looking for day laborers. Some residents say the street corner labor pool wasn't really hurting anything, that drugs are the biggest problem still in the neighborhood. Still, the INS says contractors who've been hiring those illegal aliens are going to be next as far as their hit list is concerned. The National Guard is looking for drugs at the Port of Houston. The bad news for those who thought the military was a solution to stopping the drug problem is those guardsmen are not finding very much dope at all. Houston is the nation's 3rd largest port, but last year customs officials made just 2 seizures of cocaine, 18 of marijuana. But there seems to be agreement an awful lot more got through hidden in shipping containers. Now 13 National Guardsmen are being brought in to help local customs people. Their job is to search through those huge shipping containers. It's a costly program, and a congressional committee is going to try to find out why this small part of the war on drugs seems to be being lost. Oliver North took the witness stand today in his Iran-Contra trial. He will try to win over the jury as he won over the country during those congressional hearings of his. And he said over and over today he was just following orders. North said former CIA boss William Casey was the architect of the plan to fund the Contras, that he told Robert McFarland to do it, and McFarland passed it off to North. The word from the top was, according to North, never disclose what you are doing, don't tell anyone, just follow orders. It was the opening day of what probably will be several days of testimony in the North trial. Well, Eastern Airlines has taken the for sale sign down. Details on a proposed new buyer when we come back. Plus, housewives and others create a more mature atmosphere in the skies. Later, you'll meet a guy who has boredom licked.
Tonight's Channel 2 News is brought to you in part by Fiesta.
It's a great time of the year for outdoor activities, and what better way?
Fine with Alaska's governor. Joseph Hazelwood, the fired captain of the Exxon Valdez, was released from jail today after his $1 million bond was reduced to $25,000. Plenty of talk about Hazelwood during congressional hearings on the spill in Washington. Word is the Valdez may have been on automatic pilot when it hit the reef, causing that oil spill. Exxon says that is not the case. If all goes well in the next few days, in talks with the union, Peter Uberoff, the former baseball commissioner, will own Eastern Airlines. Uberoff and Texas Air boss Frank Lorenzo reached an agreement today. Lorenzo, the man the unions love to hate, will sell Eastern for $460 million. 30% would be owned by the unions. 30% would be owned by Uberoff and other management people. The remaining 40% owned by outside investors. The deal will work only if Uberoff can get concessions from the unions. Pilots indicate they probably will go along. The machinist, however, may not. As it stands now, Houston's Frank Lorenzo has found a buyer for Eastern, but it's going to be a few days before we'll see whether the deal is really going to stick. Well, they are getting older, and they're getting better. Such is the new philosophy among a number of airlines. The search is on for older flight attendants. Larry Audis reports one airline is ready to hire hundreds of them.
Time was when the plane pulled up, the attractive stewardess inside was young, single with no kids, and scheduled for mandatory retirement at 32. Those were the rules. Could it be the airlines are now in search of older flight attendants?
When I'm speaking of myself, I like to say more mature.
Connie Monroe is 47 years mature. A former nurse, she and other experienced adults are in demand as flight attendants.
The more mature adults make better flight attendants. We have the characteristics such as flexibility, patience, empathy, and we have a more caring attitude.
Piedmont Airlines thinks so. 500 mature flight attendants will be hired by June. The airline is recruiting former housewives, teachers, nurses, and others.
People can do it up to, what, 55, 65 now, I think?
There's no age limit now.
Right.
That's been law for years, but now the recruiting drive has attendant Kelly Elliff encouraging her 48-year-old mom to sign up.
Right now, she feels like she's too old to do the job, but I don't think she is. Because we all, you all work together.
Ironically, Connie Monroe and her daughter became flight attendants at the same time.
I think the passengers don't look just for beauty all the time now. They look for someone who can take care of them.
And Connie Monroe may fly all the way to retirement. Larry Audis, Channel 2 News, Nightcast.
Piedmont says its starting pay for flight attendants is $15.40 an hour, and of course all the travel you can handle. Some reaction from City Hall about last night's story on Houston police officers interested in taking jobs in San Antonio. As we told you, some 150 Houston officers have applied to take the May test. Houston city officials stress that none of our officers actually have joined the force in San Antonio, and only one has been accepted so far this year. Meanwhile, the head of the Houston Police Officers Association is asking for a 15 to 16% pay raise for the officers. Mark Clark says the council's 3% restoration of pay yesterday simply was not enough. Still ahead, hitting the road for Nolan Ryan.
Since our earliest commercials, we've shown you how we hand twist Mrs. Baird's bread. Now, that's not the way everyone does it, but we think it's important. I'm Vernon Baird, and today, Baird family members like Carol still make sure Mrs. Baird's bread is twisted by hand. That way, you get a loaf of bread that doesn't just feel fresh, but one that tastes fresh. Sure, we could make bread exactly the way other folks do, but then it wouldn't be Mrs. Baird's bread.
Let's raise the roof. We're never gonna stop the Texas Pontiac dealers and KILT FM 100 invite you to test drive any new Pontiac and then get a free fun-filled night on the town, like an AMC movie, Astros baseball, your own limo from Brown's Limousine, laughs at the Comedy Workshop, a night at Magic Island, dinner at Boston Sea Party, Dave's, Los Tios Mexican restaurants, or a night at the Marriott. Plus, get up to $1,000 cash or 4.9% financing on Grand Prix. A night on the town, it's simple. Just see any one of your Texas Pontiac dealers today.
This moth could cost your clothes an arm and a leg. There must be a way to stop him. In fact, the Container Store has 117 ways, and not one of them smells like a mothball. Like our set of 8-seater drawer liners was $10.99, now only $5.99. Only one place has everything you need to store and protect your clothes. The Container Store. We'll work all the bugs out of your wardrobe.
It's time for us to check the weather, and if it's going to be just like it was today, we'll take it.
If it weren't, what would you do?
We'd have to take it, I guess. Today was wonderful, though.
It was a beauty, wasn't it? And tomorrow's going to be about as nice. Unless you get up real early in the morning, you discover fog out there. That'll be the only change that comes. And then by 8 or 9 o'clock, most of that'll be gone as well. Right now around the Houston area, the temperature is 69 up at Intercontinental Airport, 66 for downtown Houston, 65 at Hull, 67 at Hull on the west side, 65 at Hobby on the south side, 69 for downtown Galveston. Beach water temperature is still at 71. Barometric pressure on the rise again, and relative humidity 61%. Wind is out of the southwest at 8. That'll be dying down some more tonight. And the low this morning was 47. And the high this afternoon was 81 degrees. Not too much to report in the way of high winds tonight. Things are relatively calm. We've got two large high-pressure systems, one on either side of a stationary front that moves down toward almost to Dallas-Fort Worth, but not quite. Our next little weather change is going to be this trough or line of low pressure. In fact, it's even triggering a little bit of rain over in central Texas. I don't think any of that will affect us. On the other side of this frontal system through Tennessee and Illinois and Indiana and Ohio and Kentucky, there's some rain, light to moderate. Likewise up in the northeast, but it's getting better up there as that cool front moves offshore. Temperatures again tonight are pretty mild around the nation. 71 at Miami, 51 at Atlanta, 46 in New York City, 32 up at Duluth, Minnesota, 43 at Kansas City, 70 at Corpus Christi, 48 at Cheyenne, Wyoming, 51 at Astoria, and 77 right now in Los Angeles. Our forecast for the Houston area is calling for clear skies, 52 degrees for an overnight low. Now later tonight and early tomorrow morning, there may be some limiting visibility due to fog. Sunrise will be at 7:04. Shortly after that, the fog should thin out. High temperature tomorrow, 80. Wind switching around to the northeast with that little trough moving through the Houston area. Long-range outlook is a good one. Skies are going to be mostly clear to partly cloudy right on through the weekend. I know that's more than you'd normally ask, but it's going to turn out about that way. And this time, oddly enough, the rain is going to hold off until Monday. Normally, it's the reverse of that. You might say this is a negative. No, it's a positive.
It's a positive. That's a positive. Thank you, Doug Johnson. Well, she plays the field with a bunch of guys, and tonight she's in the winner's circle, and we're going to check on her next on the Sports News. The Astros are winding up the series with the Braves. Craig Roberts talks about that. And Nolan Ryan debuts in Arlington.
For more than 80 years, people have come home to homes with Anderson windows. Come home. And while times have changed, our commitment to quality and to the home has not. Which is why today, more people come home to Anderson windows than any other.
Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
Tony's Pizza. 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 Tony's Pizza, Tony's Pizza, Tony's Pizza.
Give your family something to sing about.
Tony's Pizza, Tony's Pizza.
What is that, sir?
That, Charles, is my new Porsche 928 S4.
Shall I have the chauffeur put it in the garage?
Fire the chauffeur.
See your local authorized Porsche dealer.
What do more drivers say after an oil change with Pennzoil at Jiffy Lube?
I can drive for miles and miles. I can drive for miles and miles. I can drive for miles and miles and miles and miles.
Every 3,000 miles, quality Pennzoil. Lube, fluids, 10 minutes. Jiffy Lube.
Jiffy Lube is #1 in Houston. Call 266-LUBE for the Jiffy Lube nearest you.
There's only one way to start a friendly Texas morning. Kick 96 FM for the information you need, plus lots of the very best country music. Kick sounds like Texas.
The Ryan Express. Nolan Ryan wore a Texas Ranger uniform tonight and pitched in Arlington, not the Dome. It was an event that attracted much attention and some hometown fans. Rosalinda Perez reports from Arlington with them.
Ranger Caps, see Nolan throw #6 tonight at Arlington.
The Texas Rangers are taking over new territory, and it includes Nolan Ryan's hometown.
If your name's not on this bus, please don't get on this bus.
#1, yes, Nolan Ryan, #1.
Now that Ryan's a Ranger, Nolan's neighbors are off to see him pitch his first game of the season.
He's a hometown hero, so he left, so we're going to go with him.
Aboard the Ryan Express, many like Mary are hoping for success.
This is just 330 people's way of saying thank you.
There's 350 people here from in and around Alvin, and Kathy Green's the keeper of the K's.
I hope I get to put all 30 of them up.
One more, Nolan!
Bruce Stockwell and his pregnant wife even want to name their baby after Nolan.
If it's a boy, it's going to be Joshua Ryan.
A lot of these people remember when Nolan first pitched for the Mets in 1966, but Mrs. Abbott remembers a lot further back.
When he played in Little League, I don't know how long ago that's been, when he was just a little boy.
Nolan's fans say this is definitely not the Dome, and it doesn't quite feel like home, but they say Ryan is their man, and Alvin to Arlington never seemed closer. Rosalinda Perez, Channel 2 News, Nightcast.
Craig Roberts now to tell us how that and others came out. Okay.
Well, Nolan's team won tonight, and we'll show you that in a second. Here's the Astros story. First of all, final game of the Braves series, and Atlanta wins it 3-2. They take 2 out of 3. First inning, Astros go up 1-0. Rafael Ramirez with the base hit. Gerald Young just keeps stomping it home. It was 1-1 in the 5th. Jim Deshaies made a couple of mistakes. He walked the #8 hitter and then the pitcher. The #9 hitter, John Smoltz, tripled in the go-ahead run, make it 2-1. It was 3-1 in the 9th. Smoltz was the guy who eventually got the win. Billy Doran doubled in a run. The tying run was at third base, and it looked like we might go to extra innings at the very least. But here's what happened. In relief, Terry Poole, the pinch hitter. Ron Gant out of Victoria makes a heck of a play and just does get the final out of the game. Atlanta wins it 3-2. L.A. won this afternoon, so did Philly. Montreal over Pittsburgh 3-2. The Mets and the Cards rained out. Now, Nolan, as you know, made his debut as a Ranger tonight. That game was moved up to 5 o'clock for TV. The Tigers looking into the sun against Nolan Ryan. Rangers won at 5-4 and only got 8 strikeouts. Struck out the side in the first. Left after 5. Gave up the 4 runs, but his team came out a winner, and he said as long as that happens, it's okay with him.
Has thrown a bunch of strikes.
Overall, it was a strange game, but I felt like that I threw the ball pretty well. So from that standpoint, I was happy with it, and we won. So that's a big thing.
Milwaukee won this afternoon on a shutout. Oakland another win for them. Baltimore tonight beats Boston, so the Birds are doing all right this time around. Toronto and KC are in the 8th inning, and Minnesota beat the Yanks this afternoon 7-1. Well, Warren Moon and the Oilers will make it official tomorrow. 10:30 news conference, and they'll tell us the quarterback will be around for 5 more years, and when that's over, Mike Holloway, the general manager's next order of business, will be Mike Munchak. Moon is reportedly to get $10 million over the next 5 years. Masters leader after 1 round is Lee Trevino. Good for him. 7 under 65. Watch him putt. 1 better than Nick Faldo. Trevino has never won the Masters, his 22nd try. And I'll bet he had the most fun today. Well, this is Winner's Circle night. Bart Ennis tells us this week's story, scholarship and athletics in that order.
In the Winner's Circle tonight, a young lady that has excelled in all of her classes at Splendora High School. Shay Sloan will graduate in the top 10% of her class with a grade point average of 90 on a 100-point system. She will attend the University of Nebraska on a full athletic scholarship. Shay grew up playing sports with all of her friends, including the boys, and she discovered at a young age that she could hold her own with the guys most of the time on the basketball court and on the baseball field. That's right, I said baseball, as in boys' baseball team. And Shay doesn't come off the bench. She's the starting second baseman. Make that second base person. In fact, last year she was voted all-district. She was a unanimous selection by the coaches in her district. Last year, she was a key figure on a team that won 23 consecutive games at one point during the season. She also played volleyball and played on the girls' basketball team for 4 years, scoring over 1,000 points during her career. This year, she leads the boys' baseball team in walks and has a fielding percentage of .950. But she will play fast-pitch softball at Nebraska.
I never saw girls play softball before except in Little League, you know. When I went and tried out for the team, they were like, they could throw the ball hard, and I was really impressed. You know, I thought they would be like little pansies or whatever, but they were good. I was real impressed.
As for playing on the boys' team?
One time at the Livingston tournament, I mean, a bunch of guys were talking from the stands to me. And my coach, I went down to talk to him in the box, and he goes, well, just don't worry about it. He just gets up, he said, just get up there and hit the ball. So that's what I did. And the guys over in the dugout more or less took care of them for me.
They say that diamonds are a girl's best friend. Well, in Shay Sloan's case, that's true in more ways than one. And we welcome her to the winner's circle. Bart Ennis, Channel 2 Sports.
And if they tell you you throw like a girl, you say, yeah, like that.
Yeah, like that. I wish. Thanks, Craig. Well, he started at square one, but now he's got a corner on the art business, so we'll look at him in just a moment.
This year, 10 million people will buy a new car.
Turn the key. Feel free.
And today's sophisticated engines deserve an equally sophisticated fuel. Exxon 93 Supreme. The fuel that lets you concentrate on why you bought the car in the first place. Exxon 93 Supreme. Precision equipment for precision engines. Just turn the key.
The mood is cotton, the moment your own. Abandon yourself to the feel. So comfortable, easy and calm. Embrace the feeling. Take comfort in cotton. Find the True Performance label on the Jane Tice collection of all cotton knitted sportswear.
When you race Formula One cars at speeds exceeding 200 miles an hour, you're bound to gain a great deal of valuable information about engine technology. You might expect us to keep information like that under lock and key, but we prefer to keep it someplace a little more accessible. The Acura Integra Sports Sedan.
Something surprising happens when you heat your water with natural gas. You may find yourself with more money to spend. Fact is, efficient natural gas heats water quicker than electricity and saves the average family about $200 a year. And isn't that the kind of surprise you like? Affordable natural gas from Entex, the money-saving energy for a new age.
Finally tonight, art for art's sake. A look at the works of a man with natural talent and obviously a lot of patience. James Buckman's work hangs in a Florida gallery. Combine color and beauty, but look very closely. It's not oil, it's not watercolor, it is postage stamps. James Buckman collects the stamps, then fashions them into works of art. The brown hair on this woman, for example, is made up of stamps. 2-cent Jefferson stamps make up the clown's collar.
I have no idea what's going to be in the background, and it just happens as I'm working on it. It's like I just do it and do it and do it, and then I step back and there it is.
We don't know how much these works of art cost, but they are not cheap, and they certainly give new meaning to all that junk mail we've been throwing away all these years. That's our news. Thanks for joining us. Good night, neighbors.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.